Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to talk to you today. And now let's begin. The agenda for today's session is to cover the key enhancements that have been done in ALM version 15.5 and in version 15.5 patch 1. Let's begin with our first topic, which is My Home Page. My Home Page has been introduced in version 15.5. It provides an overview for the users on the entities that are linked to them, and it also provides the recent updates that have been done in different entities in different modules. So as this page provides the current activities and information, this would help the users to improve their productivity and usability. There have been further enhancements in patch 1 of 15.5. One of the frequent questions which I usually used to get from customers was if they could customize these overview items that they can see in my homepage. And this has been made possible in patch 1. In patch 1, we have the overview configuration window through which we can see these items and modify them as well. So we would talk more about that in the demo for the My Homepage. Another update that has been done is we can see the recent visits of different entities in different modules in my homepage now. Now let's look at the demo of my homepage. So when the user authenticates and logs into the project, my homepage can be defined as the landing page. And here we can see the overview items and the recently visited entities in different modules. Another key functionality in my homepage is we can drill down further from this page. So if when the user logs in and comes in and sees the My Homepage, and he sees a list of defects that are assigned to him that he needs to work on to, he can just click on these items, and that will take him to the specific module with preset filters to view the defects that are assigned to him, as an example. So here I've clicked on the item, and then I go to the defects module, and I can see that filter has already been set for the current user for the assigned to field. So if the user does not wish to see the My Homepage as a landing page, we have a checkbox option that is available, which can be disabled. And in patch 1, we have the configuration of the overview that can be edited. So by clicking on the Settings tab, we come to the Overview configuration window, which has different functionalities that the user can do. So here we can see the default items that we see. And now the user has the functionality to add new items or to copy and paste the existing ones and modify them. We also have the filter details on what is being done to show these numbers. So if you would like to modify them, you could do so in the filtering option. So you can only see 4 items. So you can use the move up and move down options to select which items you would like to display in the overview. So as you can see, the new item that I had created is now displayed in the overview. All right, so this was a quick demo on my homepage and what are the different functionalities in my homepage. Moving to the next topic, which is reporting and analytics. in the analysis module, we have had some really cool enhancements in version 15.5. We have exciting new reports, and there are new look and feel also that has been introduced for our existing reports. There are also new functionalities and graph types introduced, and analytical capabilities have been introduced from the graphs, which could help the users to analyze the data and understand how the project is progressing. And in patch 1, this has been enhanced further. So with regards to composite graph, which was introduced in version 15.5 to compare two graph types, there have been further enhancements. A new graph has been introduced for test instance module, which is the trend graph. And there have been further enhancements like more color settings options for pie charts and other graphs. We'll drill down more into these features in our demo. So let's look at the demo for some of the key features that have been introduced in the reporting module. So here I'm going to the analysis view module, in which I'm trying to create a graph for defects and a summary graph. This is the new look for the summary graph, in which the look and feel of these reports have changed, and the widgets that pop up have also been updated. So with regards to the settings for the graph itself, the settings window has been changed as well. There have been updates, and we have much more options available to change the appearance of the graph. We can change the fonts that are displayed in the graph. So if you're doing a presentation, you could match it to the concept of the presentation that you're using. We could also change it from bar graph to here I'm changing it to a pie chart. We can change the color themes as well. And we can do other changes in the appearances. Like for example, if we don't want to show the data labels, we can disable them. We have other options as well, which were available in the previous versions as well, which can be accessed now through the drop-down. Like for example, we can copy the graph. We can edit the categories, group them. We can send emails of these graphs. So the next enhancement that has been done is in the test instance module. So in the test instance module, a new report has been introduced in version 15.5, which is the test execution report for planned versus actual. So this graph would actually show you the number of test instances that have been executed. Along with that, it will show you the data of the planned versus actual as well. And the new graph called the trend graph has been introduced in patch 1. Now let's look at how the test execution plan versus actual graph looks like. So I have pre-created this report, so I'm just selecting that report view. And here is how the graph would look like. So here we have the number of test instances that have been executed for a particular timestamp. And it also displays the status of these test instances when they were executed. Along with that, we have line graph that shows the number of planned test instances that were supposed to be executed in this particular timestamp and how many were actually executed. So this would be a very useful report to analyze if the project is on track or if there is any intervention required to improve these metrics. One of the key requirements to generate this graph, project needs to use the planned execution date field. in the test instances to get this data. So this was one of the highly requested report by our customers. And in previous versions, we had to use a workaround wherein we could use the Business View Excel reports to extract the data and then use Excel capabilities to generate this report. And now we have this available out of the box. The next enhancement has been done in the trend graphs. Now we can see the trend graphs in a clustered area manner. Previously, we used to be able to see the trend graphs in a bar chart way. You have the option to generate it as a bar chart, but you have additional options now, which would be really useful to analyze the trend graphs. I think I wrong clicked it. Yeah, should be okay now. And the next type of graph, which has been introduced in 15.5, is the composite graphs. So this is a graph which can be used to compare two graphs that have been created in the project. You can compare 2 to 3 graphs. So yes, it shows you of all the available graphs in the project. You can drag and drop them and then set the time frame for which you want to compare these two data with. And this is how the graph would look like, wherein it combines the data of these two graphs and lets you analyze this data. Of course, this graph can again be viewed in different formats like the clustered line chart, or it depends on the graph that you select, and the tool will give you the options on how you can analyze this data. Here I'm comparing the defect trends for 2 releases. So obviously the 2 releases would have different time frames when these releases have been performed or have been executed. But for in composite graph, the metrics that have been used to compare this is week instead of the date stamps. So this could be really useful for analyzing this data when you're comparing data for like 2 different timestamps. There are other options available to analyze this data, like we have the show auxiliary line option, in which we can see the difference between the two data sets you're comparing, and ALM QC highlights these differences. Like here we can see red for where the difference is pretty high and green for where the metrics difference is low. And in patch 1 for composite graphs, we have the mail option, wherein we can send the composite graphs and mail as well. Moving to our next topic, which is ALM Client Launcher. So ALM Client Launcher was introduced in version 12.6. So if you're using any version of 12.6 or above, you could use the Client Launcher. So Client Launcher is an alternative method to access ALM Client. It does not require admin permissions. And in version 15.5, Client Launcher 3 was introduced, in which the client-side files can now be automatically downloaded on the client machine. And if there is an upgrade, these files are automatically updated as well. So as you can see in the first screen, by going to the QC bin page, you can still open the ALM client by using a client launcher by using these two icons. By clicking the first rocket icon, you go to this page where you can choose what options you want to. And by using the arrow icon, you can go to the ALM page through the client launcher. And in this version, if you use proxy settings, if you have proxy settings, that is also supported. Now let's look at a quick demo on how you can get started with Client Launcher and what are the different settings that can be done in this version. Right, so Client Launcher can be downloaded from Marketplace. And once you have downloaded the client launcher, you can click on the exe file, and this will open the client launcher. Right. So in client launcher, we can define the favorites for the different URLs that you will be using. And once you define the favorites, and when you click on the drop-down button, you can see these favorites and you can choose the link you want to access. Similarly, we have other options wherein you can choose the folder in which you want to download the client files, and that can be customized as well. And if for any reason you want to re-download the client files, that option has also been made available. And from the settings perspective, if you're using proxy settings, it can be configured in this settings tab. So once you're happy with the settings, you have entered the QC URL, you can click on Go, and this will open up the login page for QC, wherein the user authenticates, selects the domain and project, and logs in, like how the user used to do it in the ALM client. And then we access ALM QC project and all the modules and all the settings that are available, just like we access ALM client through Internet Explorer. Right, so this was a quick overview of Client Launcher, the different functionalities. Then moving to the next topic, which is Web Runner. The Web Runner is our new lightweight web interface, which focuses on the main usage flow of the user and the personas. WebRunner was introduced in version 15, which just had the capabilities of running manual tests alone, and the user could raise defects. So there has been a lot of enhancement in 15.5 with regards to WebRunner. One of the key limitations of WebRunner is the workflows that are defined in the projects do not work in WebRunner. And with regards to 15.5, some of the key enhancements are with regards to defect, wherein we can now do defect management. We can run automated tests as well in WebRunner now. And from reporting perspective, we can see the dashboard pages that have been configured in the project through the WebRunner. There have also been a good amount of improvements with regards to administration. In patch 1, there have been further enhancements with WebRunner. So one of them is you could access, the keyboard accessibility for WebRunner has been improved. So when you're adding comments, when the user clicks on the add comment button, there is a timestamp added, which could be very useful to see when these comments were added. And from the defects filtering perspective, we have more options to filter the defects. Like the fields that are displayed, we can define the filters that we want to search these defects for. Right, so now let's look at the demo for WebRunner. Here I'm on the QC bin page. So you can access WebRunner through the QC bin page, or can use the WebRunner login URL to access WebRunner. It takes us to the authentication page where the user authenticates, selects the domain and project, and this is how the WebRunner UI would look like. So here we have access to 3 modules, the test sets, the defects, and the dashboard. And in test sets, we can see the different test set folders that have been defined in the project. The user can click on these folders to select the test set they want to execute. So I've selected the test set, and I can see the test instances that have been defined in this test set. So in this test set, I have both automated tests and manual tests, so which can both now be run on WebRunner. Now let's look at how to run a manual test through WebRunner. I click on the run link, and this will take me to a page which will show me all the steps that have been defined in this test instance. So when the tester runs these steps, he or she can assign the status to the test instance. And if he would like to attach any attachments during these runs, he can do so by using the add attachment option that is available, or the add file option, wherein I'm selecting the file and the file gets attached to this test step. And if he encounters any defects, he or she can add this defect by clicking on the new defect icon. And we can see that we have fields that are like required will need to be filled in by the user when he or she raises the defect. So here I haven't filled in the details for a required field, which I'm doing so now, and submit. And this creates a defect in QC. And we're stopping the run. So with regards to settings for test sets, if you would like to add more fields, and if you would like to make more fields visible for the users, that can be done by going to entity settings and selecting the run option. And here we have the add icon, which will show you all the fields that are available in this project. You can select them and save it. Right, so this was about the test sets module. Now moving to the next module, which is the defects module. So as said before, in 15.5, we can do defect management from the web runner. So as in we can edit the defects as well as create new defects. So from filtering perspective, we have a few options available. Like we can view all defects, we can filter out based on assigned to me, detected by me, and also we can access the filter, the favorite filters that have been defined in the project as well. So here we can see the favorite folder and we can select the filters from the favorites. So from editing perspective, when you click on the defect ID, we can edit the defects. And we can raise new defect through this add defect icon. So from the administration perspective, for the defects module, we can go to entity settings and defects. And here we have two tabs available, the forms and the rules. So we can create new forms in which we can say, like for here, I've created 3 forms, one for new defect, one for editing defect, and one for closing defect. So I can define the fields that the user needs to update when a new defect is raised, or when the user is editing a defect, or when the user is closing the defect. I can define if the field is visible, not visible, required, not required, if this field can have a default value, so the user does not need to like fill in. And it also shows the assigned list. So if the field has a list assigned to it, we can see that details here as well. Yes, again, to select the fields, you click on Add Field. You'll see all the fields available in the project. You can select them by just clicking on them, and they will get added to the form. So once the forms are defined, the next step will be to define the rules to let the system know on when these forms need to be used. So to create a new rule, we need to select the Add Rule option. And here I've created a rule which says that you have to use the close defect form when the status field has been changed to closed. So similarly, you could create new rules to tell when these forms need to be used. So when the status has been changed to closed, the system will use the closed effect form for the users to fill in the data. So moving to the next module that is available in WebRunner is the dashboard module, in which we will see the dashboard pages which have been created in the project. We cannot create these pages here, but we can just view them. So it would be a good scenario for, let's say, management who would like to view the report on how the project is progressing. We have the options to see the keyboard shortcuts as well, and help menu, which will take you to the help center and is very useful to give you good information about WebRunner, or if you face any issues, we have good information there. And of course, we have the logout option. Okay, so this was a quick overview of WebRunner and the functionalities. With regards to usage of WebRunner itself, if the project is heavy users of workflow, we have had some customers who are like heavy users of workflow. And if you would like to disable WebRunner for a certain project, it can be done. Or if, let's say, for example, in specific, or if only a defects module is using workflow, and if you just like to disable WebRunner defect editing, that can also be done. But for this, SaaS customers will need to raise a request with the SaaS support team to enable this for any of the projects. So this was about WebRunner. Moving to the next enhancement. So with regards to REST APIs, there's some really good news. So if you use REST API, you might be knowing that there were a lot of REST APIs which were in technical preview. And in version 15.5, they have been certified, and now it can be used for production projects. They can be viewed in the form, the REST APIs available are now in core instead of technical preview. ALM Octane Integration. So ALM Octane is a comprehensive lifecycle management solution which has been designed for enterprise scalability and also for governance and interoperability. So if you're using both ALM Octane and ALM QC for your agile project management, now we have Octane integration available, wherein you can run the tests on ALM and the results could be seen in Octane by using this add-in. And API keys. So API keys can be used as an authentication method, which can provide you a secure authentication mechanism for external applications that are accessing ALM APIs, such as REST API and OTA API. So this API key window can be accessed through the QC bin by going to the API key link. So in patch 1, there have been enhancements in this API key. So now we can see the created by and expiration date in this API key window for the API keys that have been created for users. Email notification is now sent when an API key is deleted or if the API key has been revoked. There also have been enhancements from the site parameter perspective, wherein we can set the self-service levels for these API key window on who will access and who will do the administration process. And we can also define the maximum number of active keys a user can have. So modifying site parameters, SaaS customers will need to raise a request with our SaaS support team. Site parameters modification could hinder like the performance of the farm. That's why it goes through an approval process for modifying any of the site parameters, which our team would do. And then if it is safe, they will do these modifications for the site parameters. But yes, for modifying these, we would require a request to be raised with our support team. So this was with regards to the API keys. From the SaaS add-on or the administration portal for our SaaS customers, there have been enhancements in the patch 1. So we can customize with regards to usage report. We previously had hardcore values, and now we have the option to customize the period that we select for which we would like to generate this report for. In user management, previously the administrators used to have an option to reset password for users. Now this option has been removed in patch 1. So only the password can be reset by the users alone. And with regards to the emails that are being sent across for password reset, we have the password policy included in those emails, which could be very handy for the users to decide on the password based on the conditions that have been set. So these were the key enhancements. With regards to the ALM client and the different options we have, here is a quick summary wherein we just talked about Client Launcher, which is a recommended way to work with ALM. We have the Internet Explorer, and in Edge, we can access ALM in IE mode, but that would require some configurational changes. We have a KB article which could guide on how to configure Edge to use ALM on Edge. ALM Explorer option is available, but this requires installation permission. But here we don't have any dependency on Internet Explorer, and ALM Explorer has its own browser. So if you are using a version which is older than 12.6, then ALM Explorer is one of the options. We can access ALM from Microsoft Application Virtualization. And with regards to lightweight clients, we have the ALM Web Runner, which we just saw, which is a pure web interface. And you can perform common ALM operations on Web Runner. Another tool which we have is ALM Quality of Things, which is also called as QOT. So this tool can be used if you have a requirement to run manual tests offline. It also has the option to run these tests online as well. And when the user comes online, the data gets synced up with the server. So this QOT is supported on Android and iOS tablets and on Windows device as well. So a quick summary on what we covered today. In ALM 15.5, we have the new home page introduced, which could be the landing page for the users and would give an overview of like what the user has been assigned to and what he could work on. The reporting has been enhanced, and we provide the next-gen reporting with new look and feel and new types of graphs and analysis options available. Client Launcher 3 has been introduced in this version, which can automatically download the client files, and we have further options for setting proxy. In Web Runner, yes, there have been much bigger enhancements where we can do defect management, which was highly requested by many of our customers, and we can run tests and dashboard pages can be viewed as well from Web Runner. From REST API perspective, the technical preview REST APIs have been moved to production, as we saw. And if you use ALM Octane, we have test injections to run the tests on ALM and see the results in Octane. So from patch 1 perspective, there have been further enhancements in reporting. Homepage has got customizing options. WebRunner has seen good enhancements, like defect filtering has been introduced, and we have additional rules and customizations available. And from the API key perspective, there are more options available now. And in SaaS add-on as well, we have enhancements from usage reports perspective and other perspectives. So this was a quick summary of what's new in 15.5 and patch 1. So here are some of the websites we would highly recommend you to go and see. So first being the ALM Help Center, which has a lot of information and updated information on the current version and the previous versions as well. It also has a video gallery, and it directs you to the YouTube channel wherein we have lots of videos on ALM Quality Center. The second is the ALM Quality Center community, which is a great platform to catch up with other users. And we have a lot of discussion forums there, wherein you could discuss and raise concerns or get to know more. In community, we have an idea exchange, which was recently introduced for ALM. And here, if you require any enhancements in the product, this is the best place to post it, because this ALM community is monitored by R&D and our product team as well. So if any of these ideas have got a lot of likings and there is a lot of demand for it, R&D would surely consider these enhancements for our future versions. So this is highly recommended. Last but not the least, we have Marketplace, from which we can download different add-ins and tools. So these are available for free, and you can use them along with Quality Center or ALM Quality Center. So some examples are like Sprinter, which is a tool that can be used to run manual tests. Screen Recorder, you can download Client Launcher from Marketplace. Excel add-in, and there are lots of other add-ins and tools available in this marketplace.